The diamond follow-up system. I'm constantly being asked by agency owners, what is the best system to convert mine and my clients' leads into booked appointments? And in this video, I'm going to break down exactly that. Everything I'm going to be talking about in this video is based off my experience of running a white label call center for hundreds of agencies, including some 8-figure brands like Gym Launch, where I was running their entire calling team for 350 of their clients. And I learned a lot in that time. And then beyond that, I've helped hundreds of agencies build out their own calling teams inside my program, Call Center Mastery. And with that in mind, I've seen thousands and thousands of appointments being booked in, and I've been able to see what are the best practices to be able to get you more booked appointments from your clients' leads. So let's jump straight in. This is the diamond follow-up system. So a couple of things I want to point out to begin with is that with all of this stuff, personalization is absolutely key. If you can link all this back to the actual client's pain point, that is a huge win, and that will really help get them over the edge and to help book the appointment. If you just send generic text and generic stuff here and there, it's okay. It'll somewhat work, but it won't be the most effective way of doing it. And this is why niching down is so important, because if you just have like a generic niche, for example, med spa, and you haven't really got a specific thing that each client is trying to achieve or what their pain is, then it can be very hard to personalize things. So do your best to personalize everything the best you can, even as specific as like how much weight someone wants to lose if you're in the gym niche, right? If you can really be like, hey, are you still interested in losing 12 pounds because they told you 12 pounds in the lead form or the funnel or whatever opt-in they submitted, that's obviously gonna be way more powerful than just, hey, are you still looking to lose weight? The next thing is all of this stuff here, this is just to try and get them to respond. Obviously you want the booked appointment, but the first battle is actually trying to get someone to initiate a conversation, right? From there, once you've got that conversation, then you can go for the booked appointment. But if you're constantly just sending texts like, hey, book an appointment, hey, book an appointment, hey, book an appointment, people are going to get bored of that and they're just going to not reply. You just want to start trying to get some yes, no answers from them or just some basic conversation. Then you can get them in, you can actually talk to them, and then you can try and book the appointment. So for that, we use Closebot, because if someone responds to you and you don't reply, that's obviously never going to end up with a booked appointment. And also people just feel forgotten, and it really lacks the care and empathy you need to be able to build that trust to get them to come in for an appointment and actually even show for the appointment, right? So we like to use Closebot. Closebot's an AI texting system where you can basically, it uses AI to respond to leads, and it's really, really powerful. So definitely recommend that. I'll put the link for that down below. The next thing is emails. So all this stuff here, I'm talking about texting, right? Texting is the best way of being able to convert people. However, with this, feel free to send emails. Emails don't really make huge difference here and there, but they do help, right? So I would definitely recommend doing email still. With this in mind, when I'm going through this whole process, you'll be able to see the kind of message I'm sending. And obviously with the email, just try and match the same tonality, match the same kind of messages I'm sending. And then yeah, emails can be great as well. But if you don't want to do emails to begin with, like don't stress, like don't wait until you can do emails, like just send text for now if you can. And like I was saying, the whole aim of this is to get a response, and then from there you can go for the appointment. So the first thing is that obviously you capture the lead via some sort of opt-in, whether it's a lead form, whether it's a funnel, whatever it is, right? I like to send an automated text straight away, and I like to make it look automated, right? If it doesn't look automated and it looks personalized, but it's like 3 in the morning, they obviously know that's not real, when it starts to already break down that trust they might already have for you, right? So if it is within time, then obviously you want to send out something that can look personalized. That's great, right? And you want to be telling them you're going to call them, because calling is the number one thing you should be doing. Everyone wants to do texting, that kind of stuff. But honestly, the biggest thing you can do is just phone your leads within 60 seconds. If you just phone your leads within 60 seconds, that's honestly 80% of the work, right? That is literally, and that's hard to do. It's not always easy, especially if you're a one-man band. If you're maybe only got a couple of team members, it can be a bit difficult to try and phone leads within 60 seconds. But that is like, just quick side note, that is like the biggest thing here. So all this stuff I'm going to show you, if you're not phoning your leads, then most of this is just like, it's not really going to do that much of a great job anyway, right? So just phone your leads as soon as you can, right? If it comes in at 3 in the morning, send an automated text, something like, hey, we've received your information. I'm super excited to help you, and we'll get one of the team to call you in the morning, or get someone to call you, whatever. You know, just make it seem like it's an automated text, because they know it's automated because it's 3 in the morning, right? If it's not 3 in the morning, then you can send something like this, right? Hey, your details have been received. One of our team will call you in a moment, right? And then obviously they get the text, they know, they recognize the number, and then you're calling them from that number, right? So just make sure obviously you're phoning them as soon as you can. If you can't call them in a moment, then don't say this. Don't say you'll call them in a moment if you can't. These little things just start to break trust if you don't actually do what you say you're going to do, okay? And so like I said here, this message can come across very automated. It's being sent instantly as soon as they fill that form in. And so it's obviously it's automated, so you can make it look automated, right? Then we've got obviously the phone call in less than 60 seconds, 24 hours a day, human setters, or you can use AI voice. And this is the biggest needle, like I said, the biggest needle mover for booked appointments, right? So obviously if they answer that phone call, then great. Then they go up to here, they call answered. If they're qualified, then try to book the appointment. If you can't book the appointment, then do a callback request. So I've got a whole video I'm going to share down below. If they're not able to speak at that moment, then you can use something called a callback request calendar. All a callback request calendar is, it's a calendar that's open 24 hours a day. It's got unlimited slots. And when you book that in, you can have a Slack notification sent to your team at the time they want to be called back, right? So let's say they book it, let's say they say, hey, I'm not free until tomorrow at 6 p.m. Then you book a callback for tomorrow at 6 p.m. And then at 6 p.m. it will alert your team to phone that lead back. That's all what we call the callback request calendar. Obviously, if they are free to speak, then great, try to book the appointment, right? That's obviously very important. From there, we have a reminder sequence. I'm going to make a whole other video about how to increase the show rate of these leads with the reminder sequences and extra calls you should be making, all that kind of stuff. I'll make a video on that very soon. And if the lead isn't qualified for any reason, still make sure to send them some free resources, add them into your ecosystem, right? Like add them, make sure you send them emails, sending them a couple of texts here and there, like sending free resources if you can, like whatever you can send them, just try and get them in, because although most of the leads won't ever be qualified, which is fine, some of them will become qualified and they would already built that trust of you, and then they're more likely to actually convert later down the line. So then if the lead doesn't answer the phone, right, then the first message we send them straight after the phone call is, hey, just try to give you a call. Is this the best number to reach you on? Again, we're just trying to get a yes or no out of them. Obviously, if they say no, they might send you another number, whatever. But most of the time, people will say yes to this. And again, it starts that conversation. They say yes, great, and then Closebot kicks in and then starts trying to text them, right? The other thing with all this stuff is that the calling and the texting, we do them together, right? So it's just like they're literally treated as two separate systems. It's not like I've got my setters looking at the text, then being like, oh, should I call this person? Should I not call this person? It's like the power dialer runs, that's completely separate to the texting, and the texting goes out, and altogether this just works as one big system. But don't try and get too caught up on like, oh, I sent a text at 1 hour at this point and then I've got to call them at this time. Like, don't worry about that. Just call them twice a day, every day for 7 days, and also just throw the text in there as well. And as a whole, it will look nice, it will work together, trust me. But don't get too in the details and in the weeds about exactly when you should be sending text straight after the call, all that kind of stuff, because you'll end up just either not doing any of this, or you end up breaking the system and it won't look right. So lead comes in, we send them the automated texts, we then try and call them, we then say to them, hey, just try to give you a call, couldn't get through, is this the best number to reach you on? We then add the lead to the power dialer, okay? And then we wait 4 to 6 hours. This wait 4 to 6 hours is across the whole system. The thing about this is that it really depends when the lead came in, right? So if the lead came in at like 4 p.m., you're not going to wait 4 to 6 hours and then call them. You're going to call them the next day, right? So I'm assuming with this that they come in the morning, right? And so then you're phoning them maybe 4 to 6 hours later. So let's say they came in at like 10, 11 a.m., then you'll be phoning them like 4 or 5 p.m. The thing about the timings and with all the power dialer is think about this from your niche's point of view. And actually, this is for the whole video, right? Everything I'm giving you here, don't just copy it. Like, think about it for your particular niche and your use case and customize the messages to match that. There are some niches, for example, where using emojis is absolutely fine, right? If you're in the gym niche, sending an emoji, sending like the flex emoji, sending things like that, like smiley faces, is absolutely fine. It's actually really welcoming and warm. If you try to do that for like a doctor or like a lawyer, it doesn't come across very professional and people are just gonna be turned off by that. So with all this stuff, use your brain, right? Think about the niche, think about what you're doing. And especially when it comes to like calling times, right? If you're targeting, for example, busy mums, then phoning at like 8 a.m., 9 a.m., like at the school rush is not a good idea. Maybe phoning them at 3 p.m. also isn't a good idea. Or maybe phoning them at like 7 p.m. isn't a good idea because they're putting their kids to bed, right? But if you're targeting busy professionals, then phoning any time between like 9 and 5 is never going to work because they're at work and they're busy, right? So you want to phone them before maybe like 8 a.m. You want to phone them in the evenings, right? So all the dial times, everything you do, just make sure it matches what makes sense for your niche, okay? So then we dial the lead again, and then we send out another message. Hey, lead name, check one of our most recent transformations, blah, 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 pain point, before and after images, whatever else, right? So even if you're not in the gym niche, you can still do before and afters, right? Again, use your brain, right? So if you're working with solar installers, maybe you do like a before and after of the energy bill, right? So maybe you got an energy bill beforehand, which is like $100 a month. Now it drops down to $30 a month because of solar, right? It could be, for example, like the kitchen remodeling. Maybe you have like a before and after picture of a really nice kitchen, right? Could be someone's smile if you're in the dental niche. It could be like a before and after if you're doing like Invisalign, things like that, right? Just think about these things you can do, but before and after images are so powerful. And I like to try and send that as soon as I can because it just reinforces their original pain and they're like, oh wow, this looks amazing, I want this, right? So then move on to the next day, okay? Now we've dialed the lead again. Again, there's no specific cadence and should you text first and then dial or dial then text. It doesn't matter. As long as you're texting them and you're phoning them at different times of the day, it's absolutely fine, okay? So we dial the lead, and then what we've got here is our Link Blue messaging system. So Link Blue is a system that allows you to send iMessage within Go High Level from a separate number, right? But it's all done in Go High Level. It looks like your client has just picked up their personal iPhone and texted them, right? The thing about this is that people love replying to humans, but they don't like replying to automations, right? Whenever you get like them automated marketing emails or any kind of automation, you always usually ignore it. You're like, oh, it's just a bot, whatever it is. If you actually got a message from a different number, right, and it looked like it was a personal phone, came up with a blue bubble, maybe like a voice memo, things like that, people will believe it's real. People will believe it's a real person on the other side, and they're way more likely to actually respond to that text because they think it's a real person that's personally reached out to them, right? So all the blue messages in this, these mean I'm sending from my blue message in Go High Level. The green message means I'm sending sending from the usual lead connector phone number, and that's why it's marked as green, right? Key thing with this is that this should be used as like a sniper, right? So the green messages, you can just spam, you can throw them out there, like you can just do whatever you want with them, right? The blue number is important. We're very purposeful in what we send, right? We want to curate the really good messages and make them seem really real. You don't want to spam on the blue number because first of all, Apple will just ban you. If people start reporting your link blue number as spam, Apple will just straight up ban you, right? So there's a really delicate balance between being able to use it, but not use it too much when people start marking you as spam. And also they start feeling like it's automated, because the whole point of mixing the blue number into this is to make it look like someone's personally reaching out to them, right? If you've got a receptionist in a dental office, for example, the green numbers are supposed to look like they're coming from the receptionist, where you want the blue numbers to look like they're actually being sent from the doctor itself and they're really trying to reach out and actually engage with the lead, right? Just be very careful of that. So what we've got here, again, these are all like just basic examples, but I'm using the gym example here. So it's, hey, lead name, Coach James here, wanted to send you a message on my personal about losing 12 pounds or whatever their pain point is, right? Then to make it look even more real, we send that as one message and then we send another message straight after. Because when people text like personally, they don't send one long message. They break it down into small messages. If you ever think about messaging one of your friends, right? You don't just send like one big block, like you break it down into lots of little messages. So that's what we do here. So we send this first one here, and then straight after, like a few seconds later, we'll send another message, be like, hey, are you still looking for help in losing 12 pounds? Are you still looking for help with getting a new kitchen? Are you still looking to help with, I don't know, whatever their pain is, right? And by the way, this could all be done in Go High Level. Although it's the iMessage, you can still use automation, still use the workflows. It's still fully automated, but you can make it look like someone's personally sent this, right? And I've got another point here, which is a voice memo for extra points. So what you can actually do is you could have this first message, and then you can send a voice memo through Link Blue, through Go High Level, to their number. So it looks like someone's picked up their phone and actually just made a voice memo, which is really powerful, right? Obviously with the voice memo, it's pre-recorded, so you can't use the person's name or anything. But because it comes through as a voice memo, if it's just like, hey, my name's James, I'm from blah, 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 it still feels like they've actually sent it to them because it natively comes through on the iPhone, right? The other thing to point out here is when you start the iMessage number with, hey, lead name, my name's Coach James, or whatever else, on the iPhone, it will come up automatically saying maybe Coach James, right? Or maybe blah, blah, whatever the person's name is, right? And again, that just builds a bit of trust. And they, rather than just seeing some unknown number, it says maybe blah, blah, blah. And people will think they maybe know the person, and so they're more likely to respond. So then after that, again, we dial the lead. And then message 4, I'm sending a selfie style video, right? So this video is supposed to be a very warm video. Make sure the client's in the location. This video is evergreen. It's not personally sent to every single lead. Obviously, if you can do that, then great. Like, you're going to get better responses if like you're using the person's name and that kind of stuff and their pain points. But most of the time it'll be an evergreen video. Just make sure that you've got your client in the location of their office. If they're in a dental office, make sure they've got the chair behind them. Make sure people can see the actual location. If they're in the gym, right? You want to make sure they're in the gym and not just like in their car or something like that. Because again, it builds trust. They're like, they can see the facility, they can see what's going on, they can see the person in that facility, and they're like, oh, okay, this guy's like actually a dentist, this guy's actually a coach. It just helps build trust, right? You want to make sure you're really warm and friendly, smiling, like don't make like a miserable video, obviously. And ideally it's a woman. The way the world works really is that women like speaking to women and men like speaking to women, but not everyone likes speaking to men. So I'd always make sure if you can, obviously if you've got like a male doctor, that kind of stuff, that's fine. If you just got a male client, that's absolutely fine. But in an ideal world, if you can have a woman, people are just more friendly to women, they're more responsive to women. So I'd always try and use a woman if you can, but it's not the end of the world if you can't. Then on day 3, I'm calling the lead again twice, but I'm now mixing the green number with the blue number, right? So with the green number, I now want to start maybe sending a bit of value, right? So maybe if there's like a certain YouTube video about how to lose weight, or there's a certain video that you can send them, or maybe an email or like a lead magnet, or just some sort of free resource just to help build a bit of trust. We don't want to be constantly badgering them with the same thing, like, hey, reply to me, hey, reply to me, hey, reply to me, I want to put you in for an appointment, hey, like, you want to try and avoid that and actually add some value where you can as well. Looms can be good for this. If you've got like a loom breaking something down, I don't know, whatever it is, right? Send something of value. That can be really powerful at this stage, right? And again, throw the emails in if you want to. Then we wait again another few hours, then we try dialing the lead, then we have a selfie image, and then what we want to make this look like now is that the coach, the dentist, whoever it is, again, they're in their location and they're like taking a picture of themselves, right? It's like a selfie video, like smiling, whatever it is. We want to make it look like they've just finished up helping a different client, right? So we've got this selfie image, send that as a separate thing. And then we've got just finished up with ABC client, had a few minutes. Do you still need help with blah, blah, blah pain? So again, they're in between helping clients. You want to make it look like they're maybe a little bit busy. And so they're just like taking a few moments, just quickly send a selfie picture, just finished up with this person, even have like client with person they just helped if you want to, right? Hey, just finished up with this person. We helped them lose blah, blah, blah. Are you still looking for help losing this as well? Right? Stuff like that. And the really interesting thing here is that when I was working with Gym Launch for about a week, I was like, you know what? I'm going to track every single booking when it came in with this whole process. Did it come through day 1, day 2, day 3? When did it actually come through, right? And we found that 92% of bookings will come within the first 3 days, right? So everyone always asks me like, how often should I be phoning for? People want to phone for like 30 days. Honestly, like, if you're strapped for time and you haven't got a lot of time to do all this stuff, maybe you're again a one-man band agency owner and you're doing the calling yourself or something like that, or you've got limited callers and loads of leads. If you do anything, you can just prioritize the first 3 days, right? Obviously, speed to leads is the most important thing. Then beyond that, if you just want to call for the first 3 days, that's where we found 92% of the bookings came from, right? And so if I quickly show you these stats here, again, these are pulled directly from when I was working with Gym Launch as a client. We've got day 1, this is the number of bookings, 233. Day 2 was 54. Day 3 was 27. Day 4 was 11, 10, 6, and 2. And so the percentages here, 68%, 16%, 8%, 3%, 3%, 1%, and 1%. Yeah, just an interesting statistic there, which I think is definitely worth sharing with you guys, that if there's anything you can do, just focus on the first 3 days only. If you can do more than that, obviously you can squeeze more appointments out, but don't stress about getting it all perfect and phoning in for like 15 days, 100 days, whatever. Day 1 to day 3 is where you get 92% of your booked appointments. So then from there, going on to day 4, obviously we dial the lead. And now at this point, we're kind of reducing the texting a little bit. We don't want to get marked as spam. We don't want people reporting us, things like that. Usually, like I said, after day 3, people don't really respond anymore. So with this message here, what we're doing is we're getting a group picture, right? So that could be the gym owner with all of their clients, like in one big gym space, right? If it's like a dental office, maybe you want to have like the dentist with his other dentist around him, with his receptionist. The whole point of this is that they can see as a group of people, and that builds trust. That builds it's like social proof, right? People can see that you're a real business and you've got customers and that kind of stuff. So we want to get some sort of group picture in like a friendly environment, right? And then I put like a little joke here. Hey, lead name, we promise we won't buy it. We send the picture. Let us know if you're still looking for help with ABC pain point. If you can't get the pain point for any reason, if you haven't got like the exact pain of them, obviously just use a generic pain point. But obviously, the more personalized you can make it, the better it will be. And also you can do this on iMessage as well. But again, the thing with the iMessage, if we don't want to do too much on the iMessage, because if people start to get annoyed by it, they'll just report you as junk to Apple, and then the whole number gets burned, and it's not a great situation to be in. Okay, so then we've got day 5. We're sending 2 messages again here. Here with this one, we're now trying to again just try and squeeze some sort of reaction from them, some sort of response, so then Closebot can kick in and then help close them, right? And again, all of this stuff, all this texting, if Closebot is texting them back and they're in conversation, the callers are still gonna be calling, right? So then when the callers are still calling, just make sure the callers are reading the notes, they can see the text and that kind of stuff. And so when they answer, they know what the previous conversation was. But if someone's texting you back, don't think, oh, I shouldn't call them because they're texting. Like, still try and call them while you're texting them, okay? That's the best way to do it. So with this one here, again, we're trying to get them to say something back. So it's like we give them 2 really clear benefits. Hey, if I can get you in for a free muscle mass scan, right? A free trial, right? Maybe a free session, or if I can get you in for whatever it could be, something that's like of value to them, right? Give them like an A or B option. If I can get you in for A, blah, 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 or B, blah, 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 what would you rather, right? Just reply A or B and I'll get it locked in for you now. So then again, we're trying to reduce the friction for them to actually start a conversation. We're laying it out very clearly to them. Would you rather A or B? All they've got to respond is A or B, right? Would you rather, blah, 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 right? And if you want to go one step further, like you can change this around. You don't have to say, I'll get it locked in for you now, because maybe they feel like they're agreeing to something long-term, which they don't want to do. So if you want to, you can just reply with A or B. Maybe even don't do that. Just put, would you rather, right? What would you rather? And then just leave it at that, right? Again, depends on your niche. Test these different things. Like I don't know the perfect system for your particular agency. So these are just things that I've learned. So just try different things, try testing it, see what works best for you. But this A or B can work really, really well. We then have a 4 to 6 hour wait again. We then dial the lead, and then we've got an iMessage now, right? So, hey, lead name, I just finished up with blah, blah. Thought it might help you with this, blah, blah. Hit me back up if you have any questions, right? So this is a content post, right? So it's like, again, maybe some sort of YouTube video. Maybe there is a reel that maybe if your client's making content, right? Maybe there's a reel that they just created about some particular thing, about form in the gym, or losing weight, or maybe fixing their back pain, or I don't know, whatever it could be. Maybe it was a whole new kitchen remodel they've done, right? And they documented it on Instagram, and they got this really cool looking reel, right? Hey, I just finished up with this kitchen. I thought some of the designs you might like, so I just thought I'd send it over to you here. Stuff like that, just like some sort of valuable post people can watch, people can read, whether it might just be a lead magnet, whatever it is. But again, we're sending it on the iMessage, and we're making it look like the client has like personally reached out with like some content to really try and engage with the lead. Okay, you can also start using funny gifs, right? So at this point, this is like a value, but obviously if you want to start throwing funny gifs in with the iMessage, I'd usually do it at this point as well, somewhere around here, right? The main thing to be careful of though is that if you start sending like not rude gifs, but like if people get annoyed by your gif, right? Like, everyone uses like the skeleton meme. That's a bit of an old one now, right? But there's some sort of like ghosting gif, right? You can do that kind of stuff, but just be really playful with it. And again, it depends on your niche. The last thing we want is someone to block your iMessage number. We do not want that, because it's a whole ordeal trying to get it back. And sometimes Apple won't approve any more numbers for your agency if you keep getting blocked, right? So again, if you want to use funny gifs, like that's usually at this point, I'd throw it in there. Maybe if you haven't got the valuable content, for example. But with that, just be careful that you don't upset people, obviously, right? Then moving on to day 6, again, we dial the lead. At this point, I'm sending the funny gif. I'm sending it with a green number, because with the green number, there isn't like a report junk on the green number. Well, most of the time there isn't anyway, right? right? And even if there is, you can get new green numbers, you can get ATP approval. It's not as much of a big deal as the iMessage number, right? So you want to send funny gifts, and I want to make it look like this is the appointment setter, right? So it's like, hey, Jane here again. Let me know if you're still looking for help with the pain point. And it's like a funny gif, like trying to get some sort of engagement from them. You can always do the funny gif and then wait like 2 hours, just the gif on its own, just see if they respond to that. And then after like 2 hours, you can say to them, hey, like that was funny, wasn't it? Like try and build a bit of a rapport, a bit of a joke. One other thing I want to quickly mention here as well is that with all of these messages, I always sign them off with the same person's name. And the thing with the appointment setter name is I always try to use some sort of name that can be pretty generic, right? If you've only got female setters, right, then you can use names like Jane or Janine or something like that, right? If you've got a mix of male and female setters, then use a unisex name, right? Something like Sam, something like Jordan, something like that's unisex that could be used for both females and male. And then when your setters are on the phone, get them to always introduce themselves as that name, right? Obviously, it's not their real name, but get them to use that name, because then when people are seeing the text messages and it's always being signed off as Jordan, for example, or Sam, right? Then when they get a call from someone, they answer it, and you say your name Sam, they're like, oh, that's the person that's been texting me. So don't be afraid to put your name in these texts and just tell your setters to use that same name, and it all becomes congruent. If you don't put the name with the text messages, then a lot of the time people, again, it's that automated feeling. It's like a robot. It's like, I'm not even speaking to a real person. You're not even giving me your name. Like, I'm not going to respond to you, right? So put your name in it. That's a really like powerful little hack there, and it just builds that trust because they feel like they've been texting already and they've been talking to you and whatever else. And again, same with Closebot, right? Whatever name you use in Closebot for the texting, make sure to use that same name like throughout all this stuff, okay? Then we've got day 7. So with day 7, this is kind of like our Hail Mary at this point. So again, we're phoning the lead twice in one day, right? Depending on what times you want to call them. Then we have, hey, lead name, I'm assuming you aren't interested in fixing blah, blah, blah. I'm assuming you're not interested in losing 12 pounds. I'm assuming you're not interested in getting a new kitchen anymore. I'm assuming you're not interested in fixing your back pain. I'm assuming you're not interested in improving your smile, right? Something like that. Hit me up here if I got it wrong. It's nothing too crazy here. It's just, again, trying to remind them of their pain and then just be like, look, I'm at this point, like I'm done. You can even add one extra thing in here as well if you want to, which is, hey, I'm assuming you're not interested. I'm not going to contact you anymore. Let me know if you still are interested in fixing blah, 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 right? We just want to tell them, like, a lot of the time when you tell someone, hey, like, I'm done with this now, like, this is the last message you're getting, people will be like, oh shit, okay, like, I better respond to them now, right? That happens quite a lot. You'll be surprised how many times that actually happens. And then with the iMessage, again, it's like a Hail Mary. I actually got this next bit from Chris Voss, which is the FBI negotiator guy, which you've probably heard of before. But it's basically, hey, lead name, I was just catching up with whatever the appointment set name is, right? Whether it's Sam, Jordan, Janine, whatever it is, right? And they said they haven't heard from you yet. I'm assuming you've now given up on trying to lose 12 pounds. I'm assuming you've given up on trying to do whatever you're trying to do. When you say to someone you've given up, people don't like that. People always procrastinate, right? People always like, oh, one day I'm going to do this. One day I'm going to do that. So if you say to them, hey, you've given up on this now, right? A lot of people, not everyone, but a lot of people will respond, no, I haven't given up. I've just been busy. I haven't given up. This has just happened. I still want to do this. I still want to do that. If you say given up, it's like it's a bit of a hit on their ego, which is really powerful. And that's like our Hail Mary, right? So we send that. We then try calling them again. Again, these just to remind you, these dials, you might want to, if you want to dial before and then send this text, it's absolutely fine. The actual sequence in which we dial and text doesn't really matter. As long as you're calling twice a day and you're sending text throughout the day, like don't worry about like, oh my God, Aaron said on day 7, I've got a call, then I've got to send this, then I've got to send this, then I've got to call again. It's not how it works. I've just kind of thrown it all together, okay? So there's no clear cadence on whether you should call or text. It's just whatever you feel like is natural. And then remember that the power dialer and the calling runs independently from the text. So if a text goes out before and then the power dialer happens after, it's absolutely fine. Don't stress about that kind of stuff, all right? And then from here, a lot of people, they like to keep calling, they like to keep texting. If I'll quickly remind you back to these stats here, it's like you're not going to get much else. You've got diminishing returns beyond that. You're still putting the same amount of time in calling them, right? But the chance of you trying to book more appointments in just starts to drop dramatically, drops exponentially. And at that point, it's like you're just wasting time, right? Yes, you might squeeze an extra couple of appointments out. I prefer just to stop at day 7. And then what we do is for all these leads that haven't answered, we save them in a database reactivation campaign, right? And then we store them in the bank, essentially. Then what we do is we use them leads in the database reactivation if we ever need to be able to just pull extra appointments out of thin air, right? Whether an ad account got banned, whether there's like, I don't know, maybe it's like Super Bowl Sunday, right? And the ad account goes crazy and no one's booking appointments, or whether it's like Easter or Christmas, or there's something that goes wrong. There's something that happens where leads or appointments drop off, but you still need to make sure you're getting consistent appointments to your clients. I save them leads. I don't try and nurture them. Maybe send some emails or maybe a couple of texts here and there, but I don't want to burn them leads. I want to keep them essentially in the bank. And in the future, if I ever need an extra boost of appointments with the clients getting cold feet, or they're starting to think maybe this isn't working anymore, and you just want to be able to prove to them, hey, stay with me for another couple of months, that's when I'll reactivate these leads. I'll send a database reactivation campaign. I'll use the AI voice. I'll use the texting, whatever it is. I'll do that and I'll get them more booked appointments means I'll squeeze more appointments out of them then. They're going to start ignoring you, they're just going to start blocking your number, and you will have no hope of being able to actually convert them later down the line. So this is my entire diamond follow-up system. I've also got another video here where I actually show the technical breakdown in Go High Level in how to set up the power dialer, how to ensure speed to lead, how to set all this kind of stuff up inside Go High Level directly. This is more of a strategy video and showing you the overall picture. But like I said, I've got a video here which talks you through the technical setup in Go High Level to how to build all this out. And if you want to see more content like this, make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.